on this Tuesday night.
You can murder somebody and end up in a healing lodge, which is better than a rehab.
His daughter's killer was serving a prison sentence in a healing lodge. Turns out other convicted child murderers are too. A CBC News exclusive.
Excited to vote? Finally.
Calgarians finally get their say. Should the city bid for the games? With fewer cities willing to host, we ask, where does that leave the Olympics?
He risked his life for us. So for me, that it's not acceptable.
And why a decorated war vet was turned away from a veterans hospital, even though there are plenty of empty beds. This is The National. The brazen kidnapping of 8-year-old Tori Stafford made headlines across the country a decade ago. But the revelation this fall that one of her killers, Terry Lynn McClintock, had been transferred to an Indigenous healing lodge, that sparked outrage and demands that she go back behind bars. Now, CBC News has learned this wasn't an isolated case. In fact, more than 20 other child killers have been moved to Indigenous healing lodges over the past 7 years. Power and Politics host Vashi Kapelos is breaking this story for us tonight.
A living hell.
The pain of losing his daughter Tori was unmistakable, and Rodney Stafford wanted Tori's killers to pay.
I just want anybody responsible for what has happened to make sure they get their dues.
So when he found out one of the people convicted of his daughter's murder was transferred from prison to a healing lodge, Stafford didn't hold back.
There's no deterrent to stop them from doing it. Like, you can murder somebody and end up in a healing lodge.
But CBC News has learned Terry Lynn McClintock's transfer isn't an isolated event, far from it. She's one of 22 people convicted of the first or second degree murder of a child under 18 who have been transferred to a healing lodge. And not just under this Liberal government, at least 10 transfers happened under the previous Harper Conservatives, too.
They had 10 years to fix it, and they didn't.
Which ones?
I don't have the names, but
but to say that you do need some evidence,
yeah,
right?
Like, yeah. But again, there were those kind of transfers that did take place.
The new numbers come after 6 weeks of intense political back and forth over McClintock's transfer.
A party of ambulance-chasing politicians.
At least the Prime Minister can show some kind of emotion, even though it's self-righteous.
Conservatives criticized the government for allowing McClintock's transfer and not reversing it fast enough. But on the only now just revealed fact their party also oversaw transfers when in government, a spokesperson said the details of those cases are unknown and insisted our Conservative government acted swiftly whenever these types of bad decisions in the criminal justice system became known, as when we ended old age security benefits for Clifford Olson.
So, Vashi, what do we know about the 22 people that have been moved from traditional prisons to these healing lodges?
Hi, Andrew. Well, I'll start with what we know, but I'll preface that by saying there's a lot more that we don't know. On what we do know is that this group of people, they have all committed a murder of a child. The group is comprised of men and women. There, according to Public Safety Canada, are 2 healing lodges for women in the country, 7 for men. What we don't know is the particular circumstances of any of these cases. For example, the crimes they committed, the sentences they're serving. All that information is kept private, and only the victims' families are privy to it.
But, I mean, all the public and political blowback that we've seen, it's forced the government to review the entire process, right?
Yeah, at first the Liberals said we can't do anything about Terry Lynn McClintock's specific case. So instead they're reviewing, or they did review, the entire system. And last week they came out with new, tighter rules that essentially prompted Terry Lynn McClintock to be transferred back to prison away from the healing lodge. And I know you'll be talking about this as well, but the government does stress that these healing lodges have a record of successfully dealing with difficult cases and can be the right approach for certain offenders, depending, though, on the case. Andrew?
Okay. Vashi Kapelos, host of CBC's Power and Politics. Thanks, Vashi.
You're welcome.
And yeah, Vashi's right. There can be advantages to the healing lodge approach. There are also those who disagree, people who see them as amounting to a free pass for convicted murderers, as we saw. But let's talk about what actually goes on inside a healing lodge and who qualifies for a transfer. Indigenous healing lodges are intended to address the high rate of Indigenous people behind bars and concerns that traditional prison programs don't work well for them. First created in the 90s, there are now 9 such healing lodges across the country, most in the prairies. Corrections Canada says services and programs for offenders use a holistic and spiritual approach, incorporating Indigenous values, traditions, and beliefs. Elders play a critical role in these spiritual lodges, holding ceremonies and teaching. Offenders learn Indigenous languages and are taught how to live independently for when they get out. And these minimum and medium security facilities aren't limited to Indigenous inmates either. Others are free to apply if they accept the Indigenous programming and spirituality. Corrections Canada says before moving an offender to a healing lodge, it does weigh the risk to public safety. Last year, the Auditor General found that healing lodges are at almost full capacity, and there aren't enough of them across the country. Building new ones was also a recommendation coming out of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But since those reports were released, no new lodges have been built.
To Halifax now, where a teacher has been arrested after a physical confrontation with a student. And it turns out this is not his first brush with the law. All Canadian teachers go through a criminal check as part of their certification or when they're first hired, but after that, standards vary. Unlike school volunteers who have to undergo police checks regularly, it's often the teacher's responsibility to flag their own legal issues. As Tom Murphy tells us, now there are calls for change.
This is what led to the teacher's arrest. What you're seeing is the tail end of a video captured in a Halifax classroom by another student. Some sort of altercation after the teacher removed earbuds from a 15-year-old's ears, according to the RCMP. This is the teacher in question, seen in an earlier interview. He's Derek William Stevenson. Back in 2010, a woman had a protection order against Stevenson. 3 years later, he pleaded guilty to assaulting his wife, and then in 2017, Stevenson pleaded guilty to threatening his then-girlfriend. A school administrator had vouched for him at least once. The issue is, how widely was this teacher's past known? How widely should it be known?
We were definitely not aware of it. It still would have been nice to have been aware as a board, so that it was just something that we could keep an eye on.
In Stevenson's case, he was convicted twice but received conditional discharges.
Convictions would have been there, but technically there would have been no criminal record, yeah.
And in Halifax, at least, if an employed teacher doesn't disclose, no one necessarily has to know. Halifax Regional Centre for Education says teachers get a criminal check before they are hired, but the onus is on them to report if they subsequently get in trouble with the law after that. It's similar in Ontario, Winnipeg, and Montreal, and none of them do criminal checks after a teacher is hired.
The world star.
Nova Scotia is now reviewing its policies. His school has placed Stevenson on administrative leave, and while he's not talking to the media, tonight he has relinquished his teacher's license and will appear in court next month. Tom Murphy, CBC News, Halifax.
At 91 years old, Gordon Smith figured he'd be living in a home for veterans by now. His years of service are long behind him, having spent time in the Royal Canadian Air Force and before that with the British Navy in the Second World War. But Smith is being denied access to care at a veterans hospital in Nova Scotia, even though there are open beds. Kayla Hounsell explains why.
This one is the War Medal.
Gordon Smith wears his medals with pride. When he was 14, he volunteered with Britain's Civil Defence Corps, carrying stretchers bearing the dead and wounded. 3 years later, he decided he wanted to do more.
I heard the siren sound, and then shortly afterwards, I heard this plane noise. It was what they called a V1. That is a flying bomb. It was a V1 because it was a vengeance weapon that Hitler wanted to use against civilian population.
It exploded near his home, damaging it badly.
I went later to a recruiting office and said, I want to join the Royal Navy.
He sailed the North Sea searching for debris and bodies and was on guard on VE Day. After the war, he immigrated to Canada and served in the Royal Canadian Air Force for nearly 2 decades. He then volunteered for another 20 years with the Royal Canadian Legion, visiting veterans in long-term care, where he's always thought he would end up himself.
And it's the comradeship is the fact that you'll be talking to people who have had similar experiences.
They're completely disqualifying him on the fact that he wasn't with the Canadian Forces at the time.
Smith's granddaughter says Veterans Affairs has told her family he won't be given a bed at Halifax's Camp Hill Veterans Memorial because the majority of beds at that facility are for war veterans, and Smith's service during wartime wasn't with the Canadian Forces, but rather an Allied force. 29 beds are currently empty.
He risked his life for us. So for me, that it's not acceptable.
There are some beds set aside for veterans who served with Allied forces, but there are none available, and there's a wait list. Now 91, Smith's health is declining and his mobility decreasing.
Which is most important to you?
I'd have to say the Defence Medal.
Why?
I think it was more touching. I carried so many injured and dead. It stays with me.
All he wants is to finish his days in a place he feels comfortable with his comrades.
Okay.
Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Hubbards, Nova Scotia.
To Calgary now, where the residents will have their say on the city's bid for the 2026 Olympic Games. Depending on who you ask, it's either a chance to build on an Olympic legacy or a project that could saddle the city with debt. Polls are open for another hour, and our Carolyn Dunn is already at a Yes campaign party. And Carolyn, how are people there feeling about what they've seen so far?
Well, you know, the Yes volunteers who are just kind of starting to arrive at this party are feeling very anxious but hopeful. There have been 207,000 ballots cast as of 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Just to put that into context for you, Ian, that's 50,000 more than had been cast at 6 p.m. in the last municipal election.
Calgary's Mayor Naheed Nenshi cast his ballot bright and early.
I'm really looking forward to what Calgarians have to say. You know, I've certainly got an opinion on the matter, but I really hope that Calgarians vote out in big numbers today.
Voters certainly showed up with their opinions.
I'm going no, because I think the money could be used in many other ways.
I grew up here, and I was here for the last Olympics, and people still talk about and remember it, and I think we're going to have the money, and it'll leave a good legacy.
Memories of '88 are at the heart of the Yes campaign.
You will effectively have probably the greatest Olympic legacy in human history in any country in the world. You will have taken a dream that started in 1980 and you'll have pushed it on to 2050.
The city would be responsible for $390 million of a projected $2.8 billion cost. And that has galvanized a grassroots no movement. The no side is worried about cost overruns, rising tax rates, and other projects that may get ignored.
I don't know that the Calgary 2026 is dreaming big. It's a sporting event, and it's a sporting event that we've done. You know, maybe there's some other priorities that actually advance the city along an economic strategy.
I think that it would be so positive, and it would just make the whole atmosphere of our city so much more joyful and enlightening.
Lots of interesting voices there, Carolyn. Now, this is a plebiscite, not a legally binding vote, but what's council likely to do once we hear these results?
Well, you know, many councillors are going to be weighing that very question because you're right, legally they can vote any way they want to. Politically, it's a very different issue. Councillors may be in a position where they are going to have to switch their vote to basically align with whatever Calgarians decide tonight, or are they going to take the politically risky step of voting out of lockstep with the citizenship?
All right, we will be checking with you through the night. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thanks.
If Calgary goes ahead with its bid for 2026, it will likely only face two others. Stockholm is also putting forward a strong bid. It doesn't have government support, though. Sweden is a country known for winter sports, and it has never hosted the Games. The other finalist is a combined Italian bid of Milan and the northern Alpine region of Cortina d'Ampezzo. Italy has hosted both the summer and winter games before, so like Calgary, there is some sports infrastructure, but the country is also facing financial issues and there is no government backing for this bid. So the IOC is facing a problem. Cities around the world are no longer pushing to host the Olympic Games.
Vancouver.
Gone are the days of this fierce competition between many countries to win the Olympic Games. For the 2026 bid alone, Japan and Switzerland both dropped out. And the residents of Innsbruck, Austria, which like Calgary has hosted the Games before, let the public decide, and it was an overwhelming no, all of which puts the IOC on offense.
It's called the new norm, a commitment.
Now we're seeing ads like this, trying to assure cities that the benefits of the Olympics outweigh the costs. But this expert who studies Olympic costs says that simply isn't true.
The IOC gets most of the benefits, if not all of the benefits, and the cities have to shoulder most of the costs.
Still, with the Olympics comes recognition. It is one of the most watched events in the world, but that too can have a downside.
Rio did not end the Olympic Games covered in glory. Being in the global eye for 2 weeks also comes with costs.
So, where do the Games go?
There's always authoritarian regimes. There's always cities that are desperate for global recognition.
Which leaves the IOC in a tough spot. Take the Games to countries which don't have to justify the multi-billion-dollar price tag, or stick with cities which have hosted before and have the infrastructure. But as we're seeing with Calgary, it is not an easy sell. So throughout the evening, we'll look and see how that vote turns out. We're also tonight watching a major emergency developing south of the border. California is still dealing with its most deadly and destructive wildfire in history.
It's all gone. It's all gone.
Well, this is paradise, ravaged by the so-called Camp Fire in Northern California. 42 people confirmed dead in this fire alone. More than 200 are still missing. Mobile DNA labs and cadaver dogs are going through burnt-out cars and the rubble of homes. So far, the fire is just 30% contained, and there is no significant rain in the forecast. And there's more devastation in the state's south.
My wedding invitation.
Some residents are heading back into their neighborhoods, turned to ash around Malibu. This is the remnants of the Woolsey fire, which claimed 2 lives and hundreds of homes, and that blaze flared up again today. The causes of both of these fires are under investigation.
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President,
That's
I was
enough.
going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Well, this exchange between the president and a reporter has now led to a lawsuit. CNN suing Donald Trump and 5 aides for suspending reporter Jim Acosta's press pass. They claim Acosta's right to free speech and due process were violated. The White House says it will vigorously defend itself, saying CNN is, quote, grandstanding. A hearing has been scheduled for tomorrow.
And ahead tonight on The National, it was a medical breakthrough developed right here in Canada, a prescription drug used to treat a rare disease. So then, why was it only ever sold once? We go in depth to find out.
And a little later, do you know your employer's policy when it comes to marijuana? Nearly a month after legalization, David Common tries to clear the air.
First, though, the Canadian company hoping to succeed where Google, Microsoft, and Sony have all struggled. Diane Buckner takes us inside.
I'm going to just simulate you getting some messages here.
Oh, texts show up right from your phone. I'm reading from my glasses here.
Well, for a movie buff, this is heaven. Hundreds of real props and costumes from blockbuster movies up for auction, many of them on display here at the British Film Institute IMAX Theatre in London. Check out these real Stormtrooper helmets, one from Star Wars A New Hope, the other from The Last Jedi 40 years later. Any Indiana Jones fan will instantly recognize these items. How about that famous bullwhip made of kangaroo hide and that fedora? Harrison Ford famously tried on hundreds to find just the right fit. This one from Raiders of the Lost Ark apparently still has dust and dirt from Tunisia, where part of the movie was shot. And if you're an Indiana Jones fan, you know that he hated snakes.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Well, this is the item that's expected to fetch the most money at auction, likely more than $1 million. It's one of the jackets worn by Han Solo, aka Harrison Ford, in one of the Star Wars movies, The Empire Strikes Back. Now, how do they know it's the real thing? Well, among other things, because of the stitching inside the collar. It matches up with the stitching that's visible in at least one scene. Yes, that's how much detail they look for to make sure they're selling the legitimate item.
They come from all sorts of places, private collections. We get that all the time. We get the phone call that somebody's literally found something in their attic and they just want us to have a look at it and confirm what it is. You know, invariably there'll be crew members, people whose father or grandfather worked on the movie all those years ago, and they find something in the attic.
The auction closes September 20th, and organizers say they're willing to send this stuff anywhere on the planet, even the items that are from out of this world. Thomas Stagg, CBC News, London.
Okay, Glass, take a picture.
They've been criticized for being expensive, unattractive, even creepy. Many companies have tried to promote smart glasses, which display information and can record images, but so far none has really caught on with consumers. But a small Ontario company is hoping to change that. North opened its first retail store in Toronto today. And the CBC's Diane Buckner was there to find out whether their smart glasses can succeed where others have failed.
I like them. They don't look too bulky.
Sean Wise wants to be one of the first Canadians to buy Focals, a new brand of smart glasses.
My question would be, does the holographic image then appear outside of this?
A tiny projector on the arm of the glasses sends images to the right lens, emails, texts, maps, weather, and more. The Canadian company behind the product believes it's destined to be an international bestseller.
The opportunity for this is really, a global kind of mass market opportunity. We see it as the next step in the evolution of consumer technology.
But we've seen smart glasses before.
Swipe down anywhere to go back to the timeline.
Google introduced a product called Glass in 2012 and quickly became the butt of jokes.
I'm watching videos of idiots wearing these glasses and not paying attention to the world around them.
Another problem, the product didn't look cool.
Really was associated with geek culture very quickly.
This technology expert says there's huge money to be made for the company that gets it right.
In my view, in terms of wearable computing and wearable technology, smart glasses are the holy grail. Whatever company can get consumers to buy and use smart glasses will really make it.
At head office in Kitchener, the Focals product has been in development for 5 years, based in part on learning from others' mistakes. The company has attracted $140 million in investment from heavy hitters like Amazon and Intel, who see the potential.
It also lets you stay kind of heads up and present in the world around you, and not be that person who's walking down the street with their head buried in their phone and almost gets hit by a car because they're just so distracted.
What can I do with this?
Time for a demonstration.
I'm going to just simulate you getting some messages here.
Oh, texts show up right from your phone. I'm reading from my glasses
there you go.
here. So there's a microphone in here somewhere too.
Exactly, there's a microphone in there, and so you're not going to compose a long email or anything like this on it, but if it's like, hey, running 15 minutes late, see you shortly, you could just send that quickly and fire that off.
And there's no camera.
There's clear value from a use case perspective of having a camera in smart glasses, but there's also obviously a ton of privacy concerns and social implications.
Got a bunch of frames on Friday.
Privacy concerns could be a stumbling block for Focals.
We live in a data sphere that's using our data as a commodity, right? So the privacy implications haven't been explored yet with this new product. We don't know much about it, what that will be like.
Oh, now I'm starting to see it.
For now, though, the biggest issue is getting more than just tech aficionados like Sean Wise to spend $1,300 on yet another smart gadget. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, up next on The National, it's a prescription drug that changed lives, but it was also the most expensive drug ever sold.
Did they tell you how much they were going to charge?
No. I learned that first from reading about it as it became public. No, I did not know what they were going to charge.
We take an in-depth look at Glybera, from its discovery to its downfall. That's next. But first, in case you missed it, Canadian Lily Singh is the latest YouTuber to take a break.
I'm gonna be real with y'all. I am mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually exhausted.
Singh, who goes by Superwoman, is known for her comedy skit videos.
What if everyone, it's your girl, Superwoman?
But after 7 years, she says she no longer understands the platform that made her famous. And she isn't the only one burning out.
I will be putting my mental health first for a bit.
I need to take a break from this channel.
We're gonna need to go away for a little while.
YouTube says it supports Singh's decision and acknowledges the stress YouTubers face. It even released a series of videos suggesting stars unplug from time to time. But for now, Singh's 14 million subscribers will just have to wait.
This is what a mega thrust earthquake can do. A magnitude 9.0 off the coast of Japan 5 years ago. And beneath the beauty of mountains and ocean on Canada's west coast, the same kind of earthquake is waiting to strike. But at this Vancouver school, students and staff will get an early warning and a chance to take cover before the shaking starts.
Earthquake, shaking expected.
It's part of a pilot project for an earthquake early warning system designed by UBC.
That it gives us a warning that we did not have before. We could only react at the impact of an earthquake. Now we have seconds, potentially minutes.
And even seconds can be critical. When an earthquake strikes, the energy released is sent out as seismic waves in all directions. The fastest waves, the waves that arrive first, don't actually shake the ground in a damaging way. In fact, we can't even feel these primary or P waves, but sensors can. There is a lag between those waves and the arrival of the more damaging waves that do shake the ground back and forth, shear or S waves. Those warnings can be sent out to mobile phones, radio and TV. They can stop traffic at bridges, halt surgeries. And the farther away you are from the epicenter, the more time you have between the warning and the shaking. Which is exactly what happened across the south coast of BC on December 29th. Kent Johansson and his family had a 13-second warning before the earth moved. Tell me what the earthquake felt like.
It felt like this.
Her dad is the designer behind UBC's Earthquake Early Warning System, a network of sensors that work together to detect damaging earthquakes.
And here comes the S wave going up here. And now we're at 50 seconds, 51, 52, bang. That was 13 seconds, and now comes the North Shore.
Now Johansson is working on a home alarm and an app that the public can use to connect to the early warning network via the internet. UBC isn't the only group working on an earthquake early warning system in BC, though.
We have these sensors in the ground, and they're buried about 50 to 100 feet apart from one another, and they are constantly listening for earthquake activity, S wave, P waves.
Shake Alarm's technology uses standalone units rather than a network of sensors.
Earthquake approaching. Take cover.
There's an alarm here at the George Massey Tunnel, a major highway in Metro Vancouver where thousands of cars pass every day. The moment the sensor detects the first wave of a damaging earthquake, the tunnel closes to traffic. Their new home version also offers early warning for a monthly fee. There is one other major group working on a solution, Ocean Networks Canada. This research group from the University of Victoria has something that UBC and Shake Alarm don't, sensors on the ocean floor where the big one will strike, giving vital extra seconds of warning for all the early detection systems. And that's where the BC government is putting their money.
That's why we're providing Ocean Networks Canada with $5 million investment towards its seismic program.
The group will be adding more ocean sensors to help with early warnings, but their focus has been on detecting the big one, which will hit under the waters of the Pacific Ocean. So to create a comprehensive system, they'll be partnering with UBC and companies like Shake Alarm, who have the technology to actively monitor other quakes closer to home. And if all goes according to plan, the system should be in place within the next couple of years, hoping to ensure that when the next one hits, we all know before the shaking starts.
It was a Canadian medical breakthrough called Glybera, a drug to treat a rare, often debilitating genetic disorder. The team behind it believed it could save lives, but patients who want it can't get it. Kelly Crow now on the million-dollar medicine that just couldn't make it to market.
These are some of the last remaining vials of what was a life-changing drug, a made-in-Canada medical breakthrough called Glybera. It was the world's first gene therapy, the first drug on the market that could fix a faulty gene. It offered new hope for people who suffer from a rare and potentially deadly genetic disorder.
It was a turning point in my life.
Cynthia Turcotte was born with a genetic mutation called lipoprotein lipase deficiency, or LPLD. Her blood becomes thick with fat particles, triggering painful and dangerous attacks of pancreatitis. There was no treatment before Glybera, but after just 2 years on the market, Glybera is gone.
How did you feel about that?
Disappointed, of course. I would like to have seen this go all the way and seen this bring benefit to patients everywhere in the world.
But it didn't. This is the story of an unsung Canadian scientific achievement, a world first, ultimately defeated by the harsh realities of the pharmaceutical industry. The Glybera story started more than 30 years ago in a publicly funded laboratory at the University of British Columbia. In the early days of gene research, Dr. Michael Hayden was a pioneer, determined to find a cure for patients suffering unbearable abdominal pain.
Each time going back to the patient and hearing their stories, that just keeps you going. You just have to go to a clinic and hear what the patient tells you about the episode of abdominal pain. They couldn't have a single normal meal in their lives.
In a healthy person, the LPL protein breaks down dietary fat into small particles so it can be used to fuel the body's activities. But about 3 out of every million people are born with a defective LPL gene. The fat doesn't break down, and their blood becomes so thick it turns white.
So it comes out of the body looking like that?
Yep. It does come out of the body, but you see it better if you have it standing in a fridge overnight. And then what sits on top looks like cream. White as cream and white as the fridge itself.
John Castellan was a young doctor from Amsterdam when he first joined Hayden's team in the late 1980s. Hayden's first assignment for Castellan? To find the gene that makes the LPL protein. It wasn't going to be easy.
At the time, the techniques for then finding the gene that belongs to the protein were in its infancy.
It took 2 years, but they found it, using the DNA of a patient who had a severe mutation.
We found, indeed, in a gene, a big fault. Actually a hole. There was a whole hole in the gene.
This was a very happy
and
special day.
Yeah.
And we knew we had something.
A good day.
Their eureka moment was captured in this photograph.
Everybody was really thrilled. We knew we had it at that moment.
Now that they'd found the defective gene, could they fix it?
I have to give all the credit to Michael. He started to think about gene therapy.
We know they've got a defective gene. The one way to treat this would be to replace the gene. I mean, it was a fairly simple concept. But the problem is, how do you deliver that gene and how do you get it into the blood?
They decided to use a harmless virus, specially designed to deliver the new gene into the body. The first tests were in mice. The stunning results made the cover of this medical journal, showing how day by day, the white, fat-laden blood turned red.
That was an amazing moment, and you just saw it. When you withdrew blood, in the first, it's like milk. And then you take it a week later, it's lighter. You take it a week later, it's lighter. You take it 8 weeks later, and it's completely clear. We've got it. You knew you had it then.
Then, through sheer luck, the UBC team found the same genetic mutation in a colony of cats from New Zealand. When the drug cured the cats, it was time to test it on humans. But that takes lots of money.
It's called the Valley of Death.
That moment when a scientific discovery makes the treacherous journey from the lab to the marketplace. That's when the investors, the business experts, and the marketing specialists step in to pay for clinical trials, manufacturing, and licensing costs. It's the only way a scientific discovery ever gets to patients, because universities don't make drugs. So Castellan returned to Amsterdam and formed a drug company to develop the treatment that would be called Glybera.
So we took over all the science, the mice science, the cat science, the virus science.
Back in Vancouver, Hayden's team continued to provide lab support for the Dutch company, and in Holland, the first clinical trials were an immediate success.
Within an hour, all the patients could walk, and they never had any side effects at all from the therapy.
But to get government approval, they needed more human trials. So they returned to the one place in the world with the highest prevalence of the disease, and that's here in Canada, along Quebec's Saguenay River. At a special lipid clinic in Chicoutimi, doctors began testing Glybera on LPLD patients who live in the area, where a gene mutation from a single ancestor has been passed down through the generations. Cynthia Turcotte's parents both carried the mutation, but they didn't know it until their infant daughter almost died.
I was 8 months old, and I had some pain, and I was vomiting, and my mother was very panicking. We saw that in the blood sample there was some part was white, like cream, and was like, oh, and they panicked. They said to my mother I had 24 hours to live.
The doctors saved her life by starving her until her fat levels dropped. But she was told she could never eat chocolate or ice cream or hot dogs or milk, and forget about beer or wine and a normal social life. The worst part was when she was told she could never have children.
I was in shock. I was grieving. I had to go to I'm a psychologist, I have to go to psychotherapy to deal with it.
Then at 22, she was stricken with a dreaded attack of pancreatitis. When she heard about the clinical trials happening in Chicoutimi, Turcotte immediately volunteered.
So I said, yeah, I want to go there, I want to have it.
Turcotte had no way of knowing then that she would be one of the few patients in the world ever to receive the life-changing drug. Back in Amsterdam, the drug company spent years trying to convince Europe's health regulators to approve it.
There was a lot of fighting and the politics very unpleasant.
Over the years it took to win that approval, the company lost millions. It was liquidated. A new company took over, called Unicure. It partnered with an Italian firm to finally get Glybera on the market. When the drug went on sale, it made headlines, because not only was it the world's first gene therapy, it had also become the world's most expensive drug. The price, around $1 million for the one-time treatment.
Did they tell you how much they were going to charge?
No. I learned that first from reading about it as it became public. No, I did not know what they were going to charge.
Back in Vancouver, Hayden was not involved with the new company. He and UBC had signed over their patents long ago and moved on to other research. Hayden would get no money from the sale of Glybera, and he had nothing to do with setting the price.
To be quite frank, this was not something I was particularly proud of, that the pricing of this made this out of the reach of the very patients, and the whole motivation for doing this was to have this available for patients.
The problem is also that people like me and Michael, we never have anything to say about pricing. You know, by the time that there's a pricing, we're gone already, because we've done the science and the clinical work and everything, and then it's the commercial and the financial people who determine the price.
Why did Glybera cost so much? A Unicure official told us the $1 million price was based on a business calculation. Because other drugs for rare diseases can cost several $100,000 a year, every year, for life, By comparison, Glybera, with a one-time cost of $1 million, seemed reasonable, especially since it was the only drug that could treat LP-LD.
And for that price, obviously it was almost impossible to sell it.
In the end, there was only one customer. A German doctor prescribed it for this woman. It changed her life and stopped the potentially deadly pancreatitis attacks. With no other customers, Glybera was abandoned last fall. 3 remaining doses were given away for the bargain price of €1 each. Added up, the drug was given to only 31 people in the entire world, most treated free in the clinical trials. Cynthia Turcott is thrilled to be one of them. Because of Glybera, she was able to have 2 healthy children. Unicure officials told us there are no plans to revive Glybera or to apply for license in the U.S. or Canada.
I have a hard time understanding why you're not angry that this drug that you developed didn't get used.
I think I was angry at the time, but because this has taken so long, it kind of wears you out in a way.
For the scientists, the discovery of Glybera is still a career highlight, an historic Canadian achievement that beat the odds.
It did work, absolutely, yeah. So the patients that got it are still very happy.
But in the harsh reality of the drug business, that's not enough. Kelly Crow, CBC News, Toronto.
Up next on The National, we take a look at the confusion in the workplace now that marijuana is legal in Canada.
Do you know what the workplace policy is on pot?
Not at the moment, no.
Can I ask if you know what your workplace policy is on the use of pot, if you can smoke?
No idea.
First, though, a new family portrait tonight to mark a milestone birthday. Prince Charles is turning 70. So tomorrow night on The National, Thomas Daigle will take us in for a closer look at the future king and his priorities for the throne. Here's a preview.
Employment, education, and sustainability. All the prince's ingredients blend together in the Dumfries House kitchen. Today, they're prepping a meal for 600 guests. It's a colossal job, especially when dealing with royal demands. Just ask executive chef Tom Scoble.
The Prince is very concerned with sustainability. He obviously is organic as we can, if we can. And it is very important to him.
That means those veggies come right from the property or nearby. And yes, that's local meat as well.
Canadians like their beer. Last year, we drank 1,960,053,800 liters of the stuff. That's 18.5 gallons on a per capita basis. The beer industry is probably the most competitive business in Canada, and the latest marketing war is none other than the battle of the light beers.
Well, a bunch of truckers got me started on it.
Light beer has a fairly well-defined market. Women who want to stay slim and who don't usually drink beer, and men who want to stay in shape. The physical fitness boom has brought a light beer boom.
Well, I beat it. And after a great game of squash, a regular beer tastes too heavy, so I'm buying a light beer. A cold Tri-Light. It tastes less filling and has 60 calories in a bottle.
Like a lot of Canadian ideas, the light beer trend was imported from the United States. Light beer there has captured a surprising 8% of the market. In Canada, it's off to a slower start, but lighter beer has still managed to grasp about 5%. The beer business here is pretty much split among the big 3. Molson's leads the market with 39%, Labatt has 37%, and Carling O'Keefe sits third with 27%. An increase of 1 or 2 sales points means a lot of money, so when one company introduces a new product, the others are there too.
Labatt's introduces a bright new light.
For Carling O'Keefe anyway, the introduction of its light beer has been something of a marketing disaster. After spending an estimated $1 million promoting High Light, the company changed the name of its beer and has launched it all over again. The Miller Brewing Company in Milwaukee is at least partly responsible for the change. It sells a beer called High Life and had threatened Carling O'Keefe with a lawsuit. Carling O'Keefe acknowledges pressure from Miller but says no, it changed the name to avoid confusion with an American product because American beer tastes too watery. You may think you're getting a light beer when you buy Molson's and Labatt's, but according to government regulations, you're not. There's a difference officially between what's a light beer and what's a regular beer. The two companies may have lowered the calorie count, but the alcohol count is still above government standards. The government has taken Labatt's to court. The company won the first round, and the whole thing will likely be settled in the Supreme Court of Canada. Food and drug regulations say a light beer shall contain not more than 2.5% alcohol by volume. Of the big three, Highlight, or Tri-Light as it's now called, is the only one to conform. 60 calories, 2.5% alcohol. An Ontario brewery, Henninger, produces another light beer that also meets the regulations. 75 calories, 2.5%. But a bottle of Molson Light has 120 calories and an alcohol content of 4.5%. Labatt's Special Light has less than 99 calories and a 4% alcohol content. By calling their beers light, the government says Labatt's and Molson's are misleading the beer-drinking public. The two companies say they're not marketing a light beer as such, but a regular beer with a lower calorie count. If the companies lose in court, they have a couple of options. First of all, they could change the name, but that's an expensive proposition after a beer is already out and selling well. Or else they could lower the alcohol content, but that would mean losing that regular beer taste they've been trying so hard to preserve. It's malt that makes beer alcoholic. When you reduce the amount of malt, you lower the alcoholic content, all right, but you also weaken the taste.
It's a good taste, but I still think 50's a better beer.
None of the companies will say how much light beer they're selling. Molson says in Ontario it's selling as much as the other three brands put together. Labatt's claims it's selling about as much as Molson's, and Carling O'Keefe just says Tri-Light, Highlight, is selling well. In the bars, people say they like light beer, but they don't seem to be drinking it.
Do you think this deal can have your support?
We're watching a developing story in the UK. Britain has reached a draft deal on Brexit. One by one, cabinet ministers have been meeting with Prime Minister Theresa May to read over the agreement. But even if cabinet signs off, it is still not a done deal.
And I'm here to confirm that New York will be home to one of Amazon's new headquarters.
So Toronto won't be home to Amazon's second headquarters, losing to New York and Arlington, Virginia. Those cities offered millions of dollars in tax credits and other incentives. And the trial for Joaquin El Chapo Guzman got underway today. The 61-year-old is the alleged kingpin of Mexico's Sinaloa drug cartel. He's facing 17 charges, including money laundering, conspiracy to commit murder, and drug charges. Guzman is under heavy guard because he infamously escaped from 2 maximum security prisons in Mexico. The trial is expected to last 4 months.
Well, it's been almost a month since recreational cannabis was legalized in this country, but there are still a lot of questions about how people can consume it, especially when it comes to their work. There is a patchwork of policies that companies are putting in place to make sure their employees stay safe and sober on the job. David Common gives us a look.
Who knew legal pot would lead to more confused people? And that confusion, well, it reigns high at work.
Do you know what the workplace policy is on pot?
Not at the moment, no.
Can I ask if you know what your workplace policy is on the use of pot, if you can smoke?
No idea.
Do you know if your work has a policy?
I think they do.
But you just don't know what it is?
No.
Even the police are inconsistent. The Toronto force says officers can't use for 28 days before duty. Calgary's service says they can't at all, ever. While the OPP in Ontario say 24 hours from getting high to going on calls, it's just fine.
Are they allowed to smoke a joint before they come into work? What do you think the answer to that would be? Absolutely not.
This session is full of HR managers from grocery and retail chains trying to figure out just what their policy should be and how to enforce it.
Your supervisors, do they have any idea what they're looking for?
Randy Dignard is the instructor.
So play this out for me. I'm the employee, you're the employer, and you suspect I'm high, maybe I'm in a safety-sensitive job, you're concerned about me. what do you do?
First thing is I have to investigate, and I'm looking at these key factors. I'm looking at the way you're dressed. I'm looking at the way your speech is.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your eyes, right? And if I'm sitting there going, you know what, I think you're impaired, then you see that the police doing the one-legged walk, the thing there. I might go to that route there, right?
And can you, as an employer, actually ask an employee to do that without any legal problem?
Yes. Yeah? I have a right as an employer to determine whether you're safe to work.
That's also true at safety-sensitive jobs. Those who drive to sales calls or work with machinery.
Yeah, don't start your day with a joint.
It comes down to common sense for these scaffolding workers, but recognizing impairment of any kind is a bit more complex for their bosses.
How do you approach employees about whether or not they are a recreational cannabis user? You can't just come out and ask, do you use cannabis? It doesn't work that way.
Charles Maynard runs Armor Equipment. A year before legalization, he started asking how to train his workers, but there wasn't much info available then.
Employees do not have the right to use, possess, sell, or be impaired by it in the workplace.
Now, all of them are starting a new online course to make it clear what is acceptable and what's not.
I can honestly say that most companies are taking one or two stances. It is the either zero tolerance, which works as far as making sure nobody's impaired. However, it has some human rights issues attached to that. And the second stance is we'll wait and see what happens and kind of follow the leaders. That can end you in hot water really quick as well.
Take the airlines. Both WestJet and Air Canada have told their pilots no cannabis use 28 days before flying. But how would they know? Cannabis can stay in your system that long, though only in some people, and no test can determine when you last consumed. Banning use, well, that's, legally speaking, likely to be challenged in court.
This is basically, I call it my office.
Yeah.
You have to take a firm stand at times.
Cab driver Sam El-Khatib has another kind of worry. The effect that those who want to smoke or have just smoked may have on him.
It's legal for them, but it's not legal for me. I have to be alert and ready to drive. And whatever they do, if they smoke themselves, it affects me. It's secondhand smoke. So I'm inhaling it. It will affect me, it will impair me actually.
So that's called hot boxing. And Sam plans to tell his customers just no smoking of any kind.
The whole definition of fit for duty means that you need to be physically, mentally, and emotionally in the right frame of mind to be able to perform your job.
Jeff Bradshaw is training Sam and his fellow cab drivers. He runs Fit for Duty, an online program for employers and employees. He confirms what we found, that many companies still aren't prepared even though legalization has arrived.
I think a lot of companies are going to make mistakes because they're going to have managers, supervisors who are maybe reacting to a situation with not having the proper education or training, which could cause lawsuits, which could cause potential incidences if it's not dealt with properly.
So that is the challenge now. New territory for employers, and for many of them, it's still an unknown. David Common, CBC News, Calgary.
Now, with so much confusion out there, we thought we'd try to get you more answers. So David Common will be live tomorrow at noon Eastern on the National's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter pages, where he'll put your questions to a workplace safety expert. So make sure you tune in and join the conversation.
There was a time when $220,000 would be enough to buy the best house in town. These days, that buys the average house in Toronto. Real estate prices have been going through the roof for several years in Toronto. It's at the point now that some people are even passing up promotions because it would mean having to move there. Neil McDonald reports.
Toronto has become Canada's golden city. It's a powerhouse, right in the middle of the fastest growing economy in the world. Moving up the corporate ladder at a lot of Canadian companies means moving here. To crack the housing market in Toronto's core, you now have to be wealthy. For the average income earner, a transfer to Toronto is not a happy prospect.
It's a terrible sentence to be sentenced to move to Toronto from the point of view of finances.
Ben de Jong had to say no. A month ago, he was offered a much better job in Toronto with an American multinational. The pay was higher, and the company was willing to give him an interest-free second mortgage. De Jong and his wife looked at homes in Toronto for 2 days, and they turned around and headed straight back to London, Ontario.
I was a kind of basically discussed that what we would be buying for the money we would have to outlay.
In most other Canadian cities, these rather unremarkable homes would cost about $130,000. Make that about $330,000 here in one of Toronto's prime areas. According to the consulting firm Runsheimer Canada, Toronto's cost of living is going right out of sight, and the housing prices are what's doing it. Runsheimer estimates that a family of 4 living in a Toronto suburb now needs an income of $67,000 a year to comfortably afford a 3-bedroom home. In Calgary, the same lifestyle would cost $52,000. In Halifax, about $53,000. In Winnipeg, $57,000. And in Vancouver, $56,000. In March, Doug Harpel finally moved from Thunder Bay to Toronto with Ontario Hydro.
We thought really to some extent it was not quite an hour never, but pretty close.
He and his wife bought into this suburban condominium north of Toronto. It cost $100,000 more than they got for their house, and they don't have a yard and driveway anymore.
It still is a little disappointing to actually go and see what you get for what you pay firsthand and have to make some choices.
Alan Topping of Runsheimer Canada says Toronto's housing spiral is hurting company plans to transfer employees.
There are a number of turndowns now if the assistance to maintain a standard of living that they've been accustomed to is not provided for the employee.
Most companies won't talk about how much they spend to subsidize employee transfers to Toronto, but they usually don't make up the whole difference. And that gap just keeps on growing. More and more people are choosing this option, living 50 kilometers out of town and staring at somebody else's bumper for 2 hours a day. Neil McDonald, CBC News, Toronto.
Just please drive.
I'm thankful for Jeremy and his willingness to be brave.
Whoa. It's all right. I just want to get behind a truck because everything's on fire around us on both sides. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God, I can't even see. It's so smoky.
Even with the video, hard to comprehend what thousands have dealt with as they left paradise in Northern California, driving through the smoke and fire, desperately trying to make it to safety. We've been bringing many of those first-hand accounts to you over the last few days, but tonight we want to hear from a family after the drive out. Their harrowing journey is our moment.
We got a report from a passerby that about half a mile away from our house, house that was on fire.
We parked our vehicles in the middle of a large open grassy area without trees, and we thought we would stay there until we saw it coming toward the lookout point.
About 1,000 feet from us, we see the fire heading towards a house, and we watch it attack this house and consume this house. So at that point, we went down the cliff. And I said to Zeta, once we commit to that, we're dead meat if the fire gets to us. We are thankful that we were directed to flee those flames and see another sunrise.
It's great to be alive.
You know, Andrew, I know people who are watching who were in Slave Lake and Fort McMurray escaping those fires can definitely relate to that. But for most of us, certainly for me, I've never had an experience like that. I think it's so easy to dismiss what's happening in California as well. Just the latest wildfire, just another wildfire. But when you hear people tell their stories and you see that video, it is extraordinary.
Yeah, and I mean, my heart goes out to, I mean, obviously anyone who's lost in that fire, but also people who have to make the decision, right? Do you stay or do you go? You know, I'm sure there are people out there who think it's an easy call. Of course, you know, you flee to safety, possessions are just possessions, but when everything you've spent your life working on is on the line, boy, that can't be an easy call. That is the National for this November 13th. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Good night.